Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops. It was a rather busy night with 11 games, but the main topic of the night, Tyrese Maxey is a superstar. He's been great since they traded James Harden and really for all of this season, but he finishes tonight's game with 50 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. He was amazing. Tyrese Maxey was phenomenal in this game. A 137-126 victory over the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers had looked really good to start the year, and a lot of people thought they might kind of sneakily steal this game, but thanks to Maxey and Embiid, the Sixers come out on top, and Maxey has just been so good to start the year, and I want to highlight him a little bit. So for the season so far, Maxey has averaged 29 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, while shooting 43% from 3 on 8 attempts per game. Super high volume. He's also shooting 51% from the field, and I really love the way that new coach Nick Nurse is implementing him, because he's telling him, like we've always seen, Maxey is very, very fast. He's going to get up the court quick. He's that De'Aaron Fox type mold of player where he can fly up the floor, and Nick Nurse is letting him do that. He's saying, take this thing and run. Even if you don't have it, start running up the floor. Someone will find you and you'll get layups on the other end. And because of that, the Sixers have went from one of the slower paced teams in the league last year to, I believe, a top 10 paced team in the NBA this year, because of how much they're utilizing Maxey and his speed getting out into the open floor. But the big thing I want to focus on with his game is the improvement in shooting and just the confidence with it, because he's been a good shooter. He shot over 40% from 3 last year. He's a knockdown guy, but just the confidence and the level of threes he's taking are so much different this year than they've been in the past. He's flying off of screens and hitting threes. He's going over the top, like kind of exaggerated over the top of screens and pulling from near 30 feet and hitting them with ease. And kind of the weird thing is he's taken replacing James Harden's production to a kind of really literal sense, because he's implemented the James Harden step back into his game. So he's swallowed up a lot of the playmaking that Harden did, a lot of the scoring, and then he's kind of stealing some of Harden's moves, because he's done that double step back that James Harden made really popular. He's done that a couple times over the past couple games, and it's just unguardable. He's taking a lot of step back threes and also implementing that key James Harden step back, and it just feels like there's nothing you can do to stop Maxey, who's been so good to start the year. If we're talking about already, I know we're only 9 games into the year, but Tyrese Maxey would be a starting all-star player. He would be starting for the Eastern Conference in the All-Star game. He would be like second-team All-NBA, if not first-team All-NBA. He's been phenomenal. He was the 3rd player to score 50 points in a game this season. Zach LaVine did it against the Pistons. Giannis just did it this past week. And now Tyrese Maxey becomes the 3rd player to score 50, and he's the first 76ers guard to score 50 points since Allen Iverson in 2005. It's been 18 years since a Sixers guard has put up 50, and Maxey is now that guy. And I want to talk about the pairing now, because over the start of the season, it has looked like Maxey and Embiid are the best duo in the entire NBA, because on top of the 50, 7, 5, and 3 that Maxey had, Embiid finishes this game with 37 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. The playmaking jump from Joel Embiid has been ridiculously impressive. All of a sudden, he's like one of the best passing big men in the league. It's like Jokic, him, and Şengün in terms of assists per game that we're seeing from big men. And Embiid has been phenomenal at kicking out of the low post to find guys, but also kind of passing in kind of a screen and pop game with Maxey. And the two just have been unguardable, because when you have a player who can average nearly 30 points a game in Tyrese Maxey, initiating a pick and roll or a pick and pop with last year's MVP who can average 35 points a game, how do you stop that? That's going to be arguably the best play in the entire league, is the Maxey Embiid pick and roll, and we've seen that so far. Embiid has also been really good to start the year. Let me get Embiid's stats on top of just Maxey. I wasn't going to talk this deep on Embiid, but I will. Embiid this season is averaging 32.5 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. He's been great himself, and 2 blocks. I think there's a real argument that Joel Embiid has been better this year than he was in his MVP year last year. Is shooting 51% from the field as well, pretty much identical to Maxey, and is shooting 36.5% from 3 on nearly 4 attempts per game, which if you're going to have him shooting, that's what you want it to be. Like, Embiid doesn't have to be a 40% shooter, but if he's respectable where you have to guard it, that changes everything for the Sixers offense. They get 18 from Tobias Harris, and Tyrese Maxey says after the game, he was dedicating his performance to Kelly Oubre, who was struck by a car in a hit-and-run accident the night before the game in Philadelphia, and will miss time. He's been great to start the year, but luckily it sounds like he's going to be okay and make a full recovery, which is great. But Maxey, again, phenomenal in this game. He looks like a superstar. Before we wrap the main segment here, I'll talk about Haliburton for Indiana because he was phenomenal. Tyrese finishes with 25 points and 17 assists on 9 of 14 shooting. If the All-Star game were today, like I was saying, I think it would be both Tyrese's starting in the backcourt. I really think it'd be Maxey and Haliburton. They've both been so good. But now let's shoot around the NBA, look at all the different action from the night, and get an idea of what happened on this night in NBA basketball. So, in other action from around the NBA, we had 10 other games on the night, and I'll start us off with the early game of the day playing during football. This was like a 12 noon tip-off, but Knicks versus Hornets. The Knicks beat the Hornets 129-107 behind 24 points from RJ Barrett, who leads them in scoring once again. RJ is shooting like 50% from 3 to start the year. He's been great. It's a real kind of prove the doubters wrong season for RJ. LaMelo Ball, despite the loss, 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists was really good. The Knicks moved to 5-4 and look like a playoff team once again. The Nets beat the Wizards 102-94 behind 27 points and 13 rebounds from Mikal Bridges, looking a lot more like the Mikal we saw after the trade deadline last season, where he was just phenomenal. Cam Thomas is out, so Mikal's taking advantage. And then the leader for the Wizards was Bilal Coulibaly, the best game of his rookie year so far, 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals. The Grizzlies beat the Clippers 105-101 to send the James Harden Clippers to 0-4 as a unit, 27 points and 6 assists from Desmond Bane to pick up the Grizzlies' second win of the year. Paul George has 26, 7 and 7 for LA, but just wasn't enough to get the victory. The Bulls take down the Pistons 119-108 to move to 4-6, getting closer to 500. They get 21 points and 12 rebounds from Nikola Vucevic, and Kevin Knox in his first game with the Pistons, his first game back with the Pistons because he played for them last year, was cut by Portland before the season really started and had 18 points and shot like 80-something% from the field. Kevin Knox really good in this game. Looks like he could once again prove that he's an NBA role player, which is great to see. And in what might be the biggest surprise of the night and a real statement victory, the Rockets beat the Nuggets 107-104 for their 6th straight win. The Rockets are legit. They look like a really, really high-level playoff team. 23 points and 8 rebounds from Alperen Şengün. And Nikola Jokic finishes with 36 points, 21 rebounds, and 11 assists. And the Rockets still win, which I think is a huge compliment to Houston and the job that Ime Udoka is doing over there, because the Rockets have been really good to start the year. The Mavs beat the Pelicans 136-124. Don't let the close score fool you. This was basically a 30-point game in the third quarter, and the Mavs get 35, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists from Kyrie Irving, who is great. I would say this is the best Kyrie game of the year so far, and Luka, I believe, had 30 as well. So the Mavs moved to 8-2, a super impressive start to the year, and look like a top 3 team in the Western Conference. The Heat beat the Spurs 118 to 113 to get their 5th straight win and really solidify themselves as a real playoff team in the East, and they're like a top 4 or 5 seed in the East right now. Really impressive from them. They get 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists from Bam Adebayo, who has continued his fantastic start to the year, and he holds Wemby to like 30% from the field. Wemby, efficiency-wise, was not good in this game despite having an impact. Duncan Robinson also really good for Miami, and the Spurs get 20 points from Keldon Johnson. The Thunder beat the Suns 111 to 99 behind 35 points and 7 rebounds from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who continues to prove he's a superstar and arguably a top 10 player in the league. And the Thunder moved to 6-4 on the year. I think I might have just said that. But the Suns moved to 4-6, so kind of opposite records. KD and Bradley Beal play today, but the Thunder win regardless. The Timberwolves are about to beat the Warriors. They're up 7 with like 35 seconds to go. Anthony Edwards, 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. And the Timberwolves are going to move to 7-2, have also been really good to start the year. And the Warriors, after an impressive start, will fall to 6-5, but they get 38 points from Steph Curry. And then lastly, the last game, it's still going on. It's in the second quarter. It's not quite halftime. The Blazers lead the Lakers 50-46, and no LeBron in that game, so the Blazers could definitely pull out the victory. But as I always want to do, let's get into the last segment, which will be the top 5 players of the night. And this is according to the Real Sports app. Of course, it will be at this point in the night because it's not technically over. There's a couple games still going on. But let's look at the top 5 so far. So it's Maxey at number 1 with 50 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 made threes. Again, the first 50 bomb for the Sixers in 18 years by a guard. Nikola Jokic, 36 points, 21 rebounds, and 11 assists at number 2. Was great tonight despite the loss. Tyrese Haliburton at 3 with 25 points and 17 assists. Embiid at 4 with 37 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. And then rounding out the top 5 is Kyrie Irving with 35 points, 7 assists, and 7 made threes. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Thank you for watching. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 12,000 subscribers. But once again, thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.